In the Cox is that you can reiterate race plan, you can respond to changes in real time, and you can capitalize on your opponents making a mistake, or if you see that you've got a little bit more left in the tank, you can make that call and make that push, and that's exactly what we've seen here.
Right, now we're moving on from Coxed fours for J16 into Coxless fours in the open club category, which means we should see some pretty fast crews, and unlike a Coxed four where you can just basically not think about it and push as hard as you can, a Coxless four you'll need to be light, agile and make sure it goes in a straight line. Anyhow, in lane 1 we have the University of Surrey Boat Club, in lane 2 we have Evesham Rowing Club, lane 3 Globe Rowing Club, lane 4 the Tideway Sculler School, lane 5 Bedford Rowing Club, and lane 6 Hinksey Sculling School. And I think a couple of these crews, certainly the Globe crew and the Tideway Scullers crew, both made a recent appearance at Henley Royal Regatta in the Wyfold category. Globe certainly winning a round before they got knocked out, if I remember correctly. And as we go through the time, go through the halfway mark, the time's just flashing up on screen. It appears to be Globe just out in front, but only about half a second on the Tideway Scullers, and then a couple of seconds back to Evesham, who are then 1 length back to Surrey, and then there's a bit more of a gap to Hinksey, and then rounding out the pack is Bedford.
Yeah, we just had a great view of the Globe crew here on the screen. You can see they're not rating quite as high as their opponents, but they're a bit more composed, they're a bit more dedicated with every stroke. There's that nice release of power. Obviously, these athletes will have been rowing together for quite a few weeks now, particularly as they've done their Henley campaign here. So they're comfortable, they're in front, they want to control this race. Let's see how the next 1,000 meters will go for them.
Yeah, and this wide panning shot we're seeing on the screen doesn't help too much, but I think this could be a really exciting finish to this race. Again, as we're saying, Coxless 4, it's actually not so much about just being the biggest person and pushing as hard as you can. You've got to be efficient. And I think so many rowers who are used to 8s or Coxless 4s, when they move into even pairs to be honest, and then they move into a Coxless 4, they don't realise it's actually about making the whole run, making the boat move as efficiently as possible, as economically as possible, rather than just raw power.
Yeah, the job of steering and keeping your boat straight and going as efficiently as possible is no longer off source to a Cox. Now you share that responsibility as all 4 athletes. One person will be dedicated to make calls, another person will be dedicated to steering, and obviously in terms of efficient rowing, if you have too much of a power imbalance going on, if you're not moving in unison, that can cause some real issues down the line.
Now, the race, just looking at the shots of the 1,500 metre mark, it's still very close, 0.8 of a second between Globe and Tideway Scullers, who are going to go right to the line for the pride of saying they were the winners of the semi-final. 3 crews will go to the A final, the second 2 crews will go to the B final, and the 6th crew will go to the C final in this progression. And I don't know who that will be, because looking at the times, there was only 0.6 of a second between Surrey and Evesham into the final 500 metres of this race. And just looking out the window, it's still very, very close between those 4 crews. Yeah, indeed, Globe and Sculler still battling out Globe advantage as we go into the Red Boys, the final 250 metres. But again, I just think it's this Evesham and Surrey crews, they are level.
Yeah, Surrey have been gaining speed throughout the entire course. Evesham started off strong, but they've been dropping places with each 500 metres to go. Have they got enough left in the tank to lift that rate up, do one last final push and hold off that surge from Surrey? But it doesn't look like it at the moment. We've got canvas advantage to Surrey over in lane 1.
And rather alarmingly, the 2 crews are coming together. Both crews are steering to the edge of their lane. It's turning into a real battle puddle. It is bow ball for bow ball. I cannot call this at all, Pete. I think it's going to go to right down to who gets the final stroke in first. I'd say it's Surrey, just a bow ball ahead of Evesham, and across the line. Oh, I think that's going to have to be... Oh, no, they caught the rower there from Surrey, just caught the water. Did that stop them just before the line? We'll have to wait for the... and we've got some times up there. 0.3 of a second. Apparently Surrey got that on the line, but I have to admit that was very, very close.
Very close. It looked like on a good surge, Evesham could have taken it, but Surrey have been gaining speed, particularly in the second half of that race, and it's well worth it for them. Paid off, they'll be in the final.
Yeah, and interesting that, because Evesham was 2nd at the 500, 3rd at the 1K, and 4th at the 1,500 metre mark. So some different pacing strategies there from the various crews. Well, that was fantastic racing. I'm afraid for Scullers that they they came up from 3rd into 2nd, but I think they were 2nd on the line as well. So Globe managed to stay in front throughout the entire of that race, and I think they'll be quite reassured about that as they go into the A final.